Mark, we're live.
Yes, we're live.
How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I guess to annotate how we were just speaking, I'm well rested.
That's great. That's great. So I am Ching Juhl. I'm in New York City. And where are you right now?
Simply put, Detroit. I'm technically in Hamtramck, which is right next to Detroit, but just Detroit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Detroit is good. Good enough. Yeah. So today I am feature Mark, and let me read just a short biography. Who is Mark? Um, Marc Klockow, right? Klockow.
Yep.
That's my weakness is don't know how to pronounce people's names sometimes.
Yeah, you're killing it.
Yeah. Thank you. Marc Klockow is a 23-year-old Detroit-based photographer documenting the local Black Lives Matter movement in Detroit, local shows, and Andrew Yan's presidential and mayoral campaigns. He wrote Fear and Loathing in the 2020 campaign trail. Andrew Yang was running for presidential campaign. Is a 160-page coffee table photo book recounting Klockow's favorite photos from Andrew Yan's 2020 presidential run from May 2019 through February 2020. So, and also you kept shooting him after 2020, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, great job. And now, tell us a little bit about the book first, and we can talk about book later too. So, this book, is it already published or is about to publish?
It is published, though my link on my website still says pre-order. That's kind of a little just it's a variation because I do order. Once I get enough orders, I order in like a bulk of like 20 prints. So yeah, the book is completely finished. It's ready to go. And, once I get a certain amount of orders, I have them all printed, shipped out to me, and then I ship it out to whomever's ordered one.
So the way it works is that you like to receive orders first and then they print. Is that what it is?
Yes, because of cost constraints mostly.
Yeah. I understand. So do you have a publisher or you're self-publishing?
Technically, this would be a self-published book. I suppose it might be through technically the website I used, Blurb. They do a lot of like print stuff and coffee table photo books. And then it came around to the book. It was like, oh, you need your own little ISBN number, this little barcode. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'll do my own or give me an automatic one. And the site pretty much said, it's like, yeah, it's essentially your book, dude. Like, So yeah, my first, I guess, publication would be.
So this is 160 pages. Is each page has one photo, or sometimes one page has more than one?
It definitely varies because after the 2020 one was over, and then I actually got to catch up on all the other photos to edit, I realized I had over 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 photos. And how do you? I'm not doing a 7, 8. I'm not. It's a little bit big of a book. So to answer your question, essentially, some pages will just be a start of a chapter, a little half page, and a little title.
Yeah.
And some pages will have one page of captions.
Okay.
A few pages are black and white.
Yeah.
And then some pages, I essentially just absolutely like threw it. I guess you could say all at it. I'll just show you a quick example. For example, this is a 2-page like full spread. This is one image. So you'll get that, and then you'll get some pages that are, complete collages. So
yeah,
it varies, and I tried to keep it paced pretty well.
How do you categorize? Do you categorize by time or by subject? Because I made the
Both.
film. I know it's how difficult it is to tell the
Yes.
story.
So what I was telling myself with sitting on like just under 10,000 photos was like, okay, um, chronological. Yes, that sounds good. And so I started working effectively from the very beginning of my involvement, which was a Detroit rally on May 4th, 2019. And after that, the next big thing was the second debates in Detroit. Then the next big thing, I skipped the third debate, fourth debates in Ohio, fifth debates in Atlanta, sixth debates in LA. And, then we got New Year's, New Hampshire, Iowa, all of that. And then all of New Hampshire. So I tried to sparse it out, kind of like by location, because chronologically, it was that entire campaign was, it was nuts. Let alone traveling,
Yeah.
90 minutes to 2 hours between events in Iowa. How about traveling all the way across the country? And then we're right around Christmas 2019, we're in LA. And then less than a week later, it's New Year's Eve with Andrew in New Hampshire. So I would say kind of both to answer your question on location and time.
So did you go do this task thinking you're going to eventually write a book, or what was your motivation? Like you're not connected with the campaign, right? You're a volunteer.
Well, that's how it started out. Yeah. It was funny because all of it started, I was definitely more of a organizer at the very start of the campaign, because they're simply put, the Metro Detroit Yang Gang was incredibly small. Like I'm talking under 5 people. And I realized, well, yeah, I could help with photography, but my brain was just like, dude, no, you got to help organize. You got to help put these events together. They have a very small team. I mean, Andrew's team at that time, it was tiny. I mean, I'm sure you know the people that were involved on a team, but it was a very tight knit campaign, and they would take all the help that they really could get. So when I got involved, it was more so I knew that I was going to at least be an organizer at the start, and it was volunteer based. But over those first few months of being involved, I kind of realized I'm decent at this. I mean, I think I'm help moving the needle, but there are also probably more people out there that would be a better fit. And I was thinking to myself, photography. Like that's really what gets me going. It doesn't even feel like work to me. I'm sure as a filmmaker, it's yeah, it is a lot of work, but you really enjoy the content that you're creating and producing. So yeah, first few months it was organizer, and then it transitioned into photographer, and that's kind of what I stuck with, I'd say, by the Ohio debates, the 4th Democratic debates in October 2019.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. And you were like 22 or 21-year-old, right? Because you're only,
I believe I was 21. Yeah,
21.
I think I was 21.
Yeah. So what is the very beginning? How did you become a young gun?
Well, it is a wild story because as we both know, and frankly, what really I felt at the time, my faith in not only the system, but electoralism and everything, I just felt as though that the walls were closing in. And, I actually did pick up shortly after I discovered Andrew via interviews on YouTube in February 2019. I did pick up his book, The War on Normal People. And I just read it and I was like, oh my gosh, someone freaking understands this language. Someone understands, disproportionately, things are getting worse and worse and worse socioeconomically, longer hours, wages declining. They're not keeping up with, quote unquote, growth of GDP. We're riding that off a cliff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, thank God someone gets this. Thankfully there is like data, and how data centric that book was. And I was just like, okay. After I watched some interviews to make sure Andrew knew his stuff about, say, UBI and, a lot of his other policies. I picked up his book, and that was really what was the hook, line, and sinker. That's when I was like, okay, this dude is a tiny candidate compared to everyone else in the field. Bernie had just announced his 2020 run. You had Warren. You had Buttigieg, you had, like all of these other real behemoths. And I was just like, okay.
Kamala Harris.
Oh, yeah. The sitting vice president, yes. Which we would later outlast and outperform, but that's later on. But I really, really was just like, okay, I don't care if this campaign ends in a few months after I get involved. I want to help. I want to see what I can do to help move the needle for this guy. Because I knew that he kind of got it. And I knew he was trying to effectively pull the Bernie approach in getting a real wide tent of people. Nowadays, people will say Bernie's a little more consolidated to a certain section of like somewhat Democratic left, but still, if you actually look at the data, Bernie was before Andrew polling, conservatives, independents, everyone. Like Bernie had that wide tent approach, and I knew that there had to be at least some strategy for a small campaign to be able to accomplish that. And in those first few months of getting involved in organizing, it was kind of nice because I didn't have to like look at someone and say, oh, that's an independent, or oh, that's this type or that type, a voter. I can't talk to them. I can't swing them. It was essentially, hey, I know you haven't heard of this guy. Just check him out. Please, just check him out for 20 minutes or something when you got some free time. And, we were, the campaign, we were trying to get the best quick information out to people so people would actually become interested on the first look. And it was actually really nice being able to talk to whomever about Andrew back in those days when he was tiny. And I think that's kind of like what really kept me around in the early days, was just like, I just want to see how, like, where this goes, like how far can this Andrew guy make it, against all this giant money, against the system that wasn't so kind to Bernie the previous run. Like what's going to happen? That's kind of like how I got involved, and I was just really intrigued.
So tell us a very good story. Tell us a little bit about your photography. I would say love, or career or hobby at first. How did that develop?
It's really funny because I did not ever see myself as a photographer, especially even in like late high school. I was just kind of like, around when I was graduating high school and going into college, I felt like I was kind of just floating in open water. And a lot of what my family and friends were saying to me, because at the time, I like built a lot of computers. I was good with like, tech support type stuff. And everyone was just like, oh my gosh, why don't you just go into IT? And at first I was like, oh yeah, I'd crush it. This would be easy for me. I would get a moderately decent career out of it. But after doing a semester of college in that's when I kind of realized, like, wait, this is like basic level. Like, hey, my mouse isn't working. Did you plug it in? And like that was like I guess like how basic it was. And I was kind of thinking to myself, you know, while I was in my college class, like talking about how to move a file from this folder to that folder and then email it. I'm like, I learned this when I was in like the first grade, dude. Like I grew up with this technology. And I kind of realized that while that career path would be easy for me, uh, it wasn't exciting me. You know, I wasn't really going into like a deep learning aspect
Yeah.
of how to I guess just really apply myself in that.
Mhm.
And then again, I was also in my hometown. It's pretty nearby Flint, Michigan.
Mm.
And everything around there, it was just like school technician tech support, you know, and the craziest it got was just like take a server and like build out this basic network for, you know, a school and move on to the next one. And I'm just like, do I want to do that? So I actually ended up grabbing like a very bare bones DSLR camera after I graduated high school, just kind of as like maybe I'll give this a stab, because I worked with a few DSLRs really late in high school, and I was like, I don't know how to use these things, but it's interesting that the fact that I can, you know, manipulate light, which is all really photography is just manipulating light and composing an image, and, you know, hitting the right capture. But I just didn't know really how to work a DSLR. So after about like, I'm not kidding, 6, 7, 8 months of this DSLR I got like from Amazon, sitting on, you know, a desk in my room in my hometown. I was like, one day, it was I think like early spring 2017. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go learn the basics here. So I watched actually a few hours of YouTube videos on like how to's, you know, beginner's guide to shooting with a DSLR. And I remember I went outside in my backyard. I laid like prone in the grass, and there was like a little like robin, just like a little bird, you know, just hopping around. And I just took a photo of it. That was it. I hit the exposure well. I captured it. I mean, literally now I look back at it and I'm like, okay, you took a quick shot of a bird. Who cares? but I was like, wait, that was cool. I like froze that moment in time. And then later that day, there was like a big rainstorm, but it was like one of those rainstorms where there's like still like the sun's still out.
Yeah.
So it was like creating this beautiful, just image of just like all this rain and like the sun beaming through. I took a snap of that, and actually like I remember I showed like my mom, and my mom was like, how did you get that? How did you capture that? And I was like, I don't know. And you know, I think that was kind of when a few of the gears started turning, you know, like that serotonin, that dopamine, it really it really started flowing. So throughout I
Visual reward.
Yeah. And then, you know, you see it on your computer screen, you get to edit the image. Yeah. And I remember I literally just that year, I finished up that semester of college, and I was like, I'm going to take a beat here. I'm going to take a pause. And, you know, I like visited my friend like out in Las Vegas, and, you know, I think we ended up actually making it out to like San Francisco for a day or two because flights were just stupid cheap. And, you know, as I was like walking around, I was like, you know, for someone that grew up in a very kind of boring suburban hometown, seeing something like San Francisco, it was like, whoa, there is like an image composition everywhere. I was like looking up, looking down, you know, I was just like, the city aspect was just setting off all these things in my brain. I was just like, okay. And fast forward through that year, And I just kept practicing. I kept shooting. And I was just like, okay, I actually really like this. Like genuinely. Like I'm good with computers, but I'm getting a lot of compliments on my starter photography. And what if, and this crazy idea kind of came along, what if I actually ended up living in the city a try doing this? Now, that was a bit bright-eyed. I didn't really consider the aspect that I didn't have a portfolio. I didn't have connections. I didn't know anyone in Detroit besides a friend or two. And it was kind of like, okay, you know what? Let's take that whole college idea and let's shift it into, let's try to make it a real world freelance sort of thing. And and then I saw one jazz concert in downtown Detroit, and then I was sold on Detroit because it was so beautiful. The city was just like, it gave me that same rush that San Francisco gave me. And I found a decent spot, and I was like, you know what? Worst case, if this doesn't work out, it wasn't like I was being kicked out, but I did want to get out of my hometown. And I knew worst case, I was in a safe position enough where everything crumbles down. Worst case, I could end up back in Grand Blanc. But the goal was obviously don't let that happen. And yeah, so that begins my story in Detroit.
So you left home pretty early.
Yeah, I was 19 when I moved out.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it was a rush.
Your mom must be happy.
Oh, no, actually my mom was like more happy because she was all this like, oh my gosh, I get to help design your apartment. Let's go get you some pots and pans and this and that, and like my mom just went into full mom mode. She was great.
That's great. And do you have siblings, may I ask?
No, I'm an only child.
Your only child? Oh my God. Good for you. Yeah. No, I respect people left home, and I respect people leave home on their own, I mean, it's a lot of work and risk, right?
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it makes you grow faster, I think. Right?
Oh, that was definitely an accelerant. It was kind of like, you're bursting your bubble. And don't get me wrong, it's really bursting your bubble if you're moving out with no portfolio, no connections, anything like that. It was a rush.
Yeah. And not to mention you have to cook for yourself or take care of your food, right? At home, mom, take care of it, right?
Right. Yeah. You don't got to worry about grocery night, just help put the groceries away. That's it. The groceries are already here. You don't have to use a card or anything.
Yeah.
And that was, those first year and a half in Detroit, I mean, reality set in pretty quick. It was like, hey, Mark, there's this thing called bills you got to pay.
Yeah. So how'd you take care of that? Did you work? Did you do some, labor?
Yes. Yes.
Digging the railroad.
It almost got to that point, but I ended up, the first month I moved down, I was just like, yay, run around and explore, take photos. And then of course, you check your bank account and it's like, oh yeah, I gotta stay on top of this. And so what it ended up doing was, I just like walked around, and I pretty much was just like a mass apply to jobs. And I've actually ended up getting in as a manager role, which was kind of odd for a 19-year-old fresh in Detroit. It's Rite Aid, it's nothing crazy, but it's like, oh, manager. I was like kind of this like, turns out it's like a pseudo manager position.
Oh yeah.
And it's literally you just got more responsibilities than your coworkers with not much of a pay bump at all. And I did that for a minute. And I just, oh gosh, while I was doing that, after I was like a month or two in, my brain just started going back to this, like, what did you do, Mark? You're now just like stuck, restocking Rite Aid shelves, taking inventory, accounting for, the cash register. Is this what you wanted to move to Detroit for? Because like, when you get back from work and you're all like exhausted, it was just like, I didn't have time to do photography. And, after I did that for a good bit, I was like, okay, I hate this. And I found, Uber Eats. And I was like, oh, great. I get to, the way that like DoorDash and Uber Eats, they advertise, right? It's all work your own hours, be your own boss. Yeah. And they don't tell you, they're not going to cover anything when it comes to like wear and tear on your car, this and that. But at least it was that was a little more of an independent job. So I did that for a good while. And really, after Rite Aid, the Uber Eats, and I really did that through when I started talking about Andrew in February 2019. Because around that point, I mean, my brain was just kind of like, I am not making progress on my photography, at least the progress I envisioned or whatever. I felt too bogged down by just the real world. And, I was really actually at a very bleak point.
If you had a basic income.
Bingo. I'm not kidding. Bingo. Because I knew about UBI when I moved out. I had no clue about Andrew, of course, then, because it was 2017. But I knew about UBI, and then comes across, wait, there's a dude running for president on UBI? And I was like, okay, what's the catch? What's the catch? I looked up and I was just like, wait, there's no real like catch here. He just gets the idea of like, we should just give people money. And then, like he was actually nailing the how do you pay for it, knee-jerk reactions, this and that. And I was just like, wait. And then the gears really started turning. And I was like, wait, I'm struggling to do the creative career. I need some type of, if I had some supplemental income, even just $1,000 a month, that would let me like full time do what I wanted to do when I moved to Detroit without that, looming star destroyer above me. It's like, pay your bills. And it's like, I'll counter with this UBI shield, and I was just like, okay, there's a guy running on this and he knows what he's talking about. He's not trying to like screw over people that do jump onto the UBI program. And I was like, great, how do I help? And like I said, the local group for anyone that supported Andrew was tiny. I mean, I was, I guess, technically a founding member, maybe, of the Detroit Yang Gang. And I ended up just, working with them, trying to do our own way of spreading the word, because the campaign really didn't even have a system. They were so small at that time for how to get the message out. But lo and behold, in late April, I believe it was Shelby from the Yang team, sent out an email to the guy that was running the Facebook group for the Detroit Yang Gang saying, hey, in 2 weeks, we have a canceled date on May 4th, and we want to do like a rally to fill that in Detroit. And so it's 2 weeks out. In the next week, can you guys find us a spot that can host 300 people, or so? Just find us the venue, get us their contact, and we'll do the rest. But of course, you guys please fly or spread the word. And we were like, okay, 2 weeks till showtime, folks. Like the UBI guy's coming to town. Like, what do we do? So, you know, I remember going on a flurry. I remember stapling hundreds of flyers up and down every street in Detroit. I was just like, everyone needs to know. Everyone needs to know. Please come out, come out, come out. And then May 4th arrives. I get over there pretty early.
Is this 2019 or 18?
Yep, 19.
Okay, okay.
So we're out there, and, you know, we met Carly from the team, Zach and Andrew, I think we're still backstage. And, you know, I was just like, please, please at least give us like 250, 300 people. We ended up turning out like over 600.
Whoa.
And that was huge for Detroit.
Whoa.
Especially for some no-name dude that just wants to give everyone money. And I was just like, okay, this is good. And even like my friend, like my original Detroit friends and stuff, like the ones that were like my first friends when I came down here, like they showed up too. And I was like, how did you get the word? And they're like, oh, we saw it here, we saw it there. And I'm like, yes, my flyering operation worked. And yeah, and it was a heck of a rally. And it was kind of funny during the rally. And this is, I think, what really almost got me like fired up. And no hate to Bernie, but I'm kind of disappointed in a certain member of his team because you know how in politics there's they call it grassroots / small donors, and then like what is it, anything above $200 that's considered like a hefty or larger donation. And you know, Bernie prided himself on, well, the average donor for my campaign is $27, you know, and that's great. And Bernie was leading the pack in terms of the small donor ratio. And lo and behold, Andrew was right behind him in that data. And, you know, I think it was like Bernie 87%, Andrew like 85 or 83%. And then like Warren was in third place at like 70%. But Bernie's team, on the day of that rally that I was organizing for Andrew in Detroit, Bernie's team put out a graphic erasing Andrew from that whole data set. And I saw that. I was angry. And I actually just, I kind of just like saw Zach on the side of the stage, Zach Grauman. And I just approached him. And I was just like, hey, dude, I'm Mark, you know. I knew he was the campaign manager. And I figured, you know, I'm going to try to talk to him about this. Just pick his brain, see what he thinks. And I showed him that. And I was like, you know, hey, like, look at this. And I was just like, so does this like it? Did you really expect Bernie's team to do this? And Zach kind of like had a double take at it. And it was like, it's like, yeah, I am surprised, but also maybe that means something. Maybe that means something that they did purposefully erase the slow surging, you know, nobody candidate, Andrew, from their graphic. Maybe that was making them a little nervous. And,
yeah,
you know, Zach and I...
Competition.
Yeah. And Zach and I like joked about it. It's like, of all people, we didn't expect Bernie's team to do that. You know, maybe the establishment Democrats would have done that, but Bernie, really? And at that point, you know, I liked Bernie, and I still do like Bernie. It's just, that was the moment where I was almost kind of like playfully, but not so playfully in my head, this means war. And it's time, like, I knew I really wanted to do something big time with the campaign after that. And I actually couldn't even get to say hi to Andrew at that rally because it was like a freaking mosh pit. Like once Andrew was like, you know, 5 minutes to heading out, everyone's trying to get their things signed. People were like almost shoving people. I was like, I'm not going to break my camera for this. I'm just going to talk to Zach.
Right.
And, you know, they ended up like heading out and stuff. Zach was super cool to me. Carly was super cool to me. And it was just like having the senior team be that just humble and down to earth really felt like it kind of just activated something like, wait, this might actually be the normal people campaign. You know, in Bernie's words, the working class campaign. And it really, you know, that's what really sucked me in. So I took on a regional organizer role with the campaign at the age of 21, running. Frankly, it was like volunteer outreach. Like I was like the person right below the paid campaign staffer. And I was quite literally like one of two people running Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. And that's the Rust Belt, you know, like, and I'm like, okay, this is a lot, guys. Like, I love this campaign, but I'm 21, you know?
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah. And, you know, I did that. But come to Detroit debates, a few hiccups here and there. I mean, the system wasn't great. It worked, but it wasn't great for the regional organizers. And, you know, by the end of the Detroit debates, it was a very small amount of people that came out in terms of like across the country. Because later on, you know, Ching, you know, like how the Yanking can like mobilize to like somewhere random in Iowa. Like, hey, this is the debate, and you got people from California and New York and Florida all coming out, like, you know. But it was really small scale at that point. But it was like there was momentum happening after that second debate. That's when Andrew had that closing line of, you know, this whole thing is effectively a reality TV show. I'm not wearing a tie. And that's what kept the campaign really going. So after that point, I kind of told myself, similar to how when I moved out, okay, well, obviously the campaign trusts me to a degree. But I really want to do photography. And I didn't necessarily see that many other people documenting things from the supporter perspective. You know, there's a perspective that I talk about in my book that, you know, a campaign like staff photographer, 95% of their media or shots are going to be of the candidate themselves. And that's really it. They're trying to get the best shot for the press release. That's it. And I was then like, okay, how do I capture this from what I'm seeing as a photographer, but of the movement, but of the people gathering, everyone wearing their math hats, this and that. And, you know, watching like over 100 math hats marching down the streets to this debate demonstration thing right before the fourth debates in Ohio. I was just like snapping so many photos, and I was like, wait, we've got our own march happening here. You know, the Bernie people weren't doing that. The Biden people weren't doing that. The Harris people weren't doing that. The Buttigieg weren't doing that. Even the Trumpers weren't doing that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this momentum. And from that point on, I think was, okay, I want to do like full-time volunteer photography. And that effectively went from debate to debate to debate. And I took on some other roles in the background that I also do talk about in the book, like helping put out a few fires, helping, you know, take care of certain people that maybe had like complaints before, you know, something like some news reporter that, you know, came across and leaked something. I'm just like, no, I want to help this campaign, you know, keep flying, because I'm sure you remember the phrase, like, the Yang 2020 was like building an airplane while you're flying the airplane. and like when there was a small fire, I was just like, does anyone have any water? You know, and I was just trying to like help out, do that. Yeah. But the main thing was photography. And
yeah, you know what? Let me interrupt you for a second. Someone in the audience has a question. Sue is asking, Mark has a book, so why don't you show the book to our audience, please?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So
Here
Mark,
is
yeah.
the
So
almost final copy. This is the preview copy.
oh, okay. Yeah. For some people arrived a little later than the beginning. So why don't we just talk about a little bit about book? So they also want to know where they can get it.
Yes. So I will put in, which I believe you can put up here.
Yeah. Why don't you send me a private chat and then I put your chat to the public chat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Here is the link.
So the book is 160 pages.
It's a coffee table photo book, hardcover. I tried to use the best print material to make sure it retain its quality. But again, this book is effectively my favorite and best memories from when I got involved with Andrew's campaign as a volunteer photographer, and everything I've captured from supposedly, I guess the let me see if I can get these. It's not amazing on camera here. It looks way better in person. Trust me on that one. But this whole book is a massive collage of all of my favorite shots from the trail. And I do have, a good amount of shots of Andrew in this book, of course. But a lot of these, I really tried to make it from the POV of the movement. I didn't want it to only just be Andrew. I wanted to show what the story was with what would it be like to be an average supporter of Andrew throughout the presidential trail. So this book is, 160 pages. It is hardcover. It is something I have been working on. If you weren't here earlier, I was talking with Ching saying, how do you boil down 8,000 shots to 100? It's so funny, not like 8,000 photos. How do you boil that down to 160 pages? And this entire book, it is essentially my favorite stories and shots because I sectioned this off from event to event, debate to debate. And it's chronological. And again, it's just, this is really my favorite, not only memories, but my favorite captures and images I think really help describe how the energy went from a longer than long shot candidate all the way up to making every debate stage in 2019 to outlasting the current sitting vice president by 2 months on the trail. This story is the story from my camera lens of
Hey Mark.
Hey
Mark, I'll tell you my story just a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
I think I made a documentary is 80 minutes, right? And I just edited another 10 minutes. So now it's 90 minutes. Don't tell anyone. So, but that was from 12,000 minutes.
Yep.
Like 200 hours of capturing. So
Yeah.
I can totally, sympathize with you.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you delete a lot of things, or you still keep those you don't want, or how do you? When you organize your thing, do you say delete?
If the shot is completely unusable, it's completely blurry or bad, I will delete. However, no, I did not delete most of these shots. The trick is a very large hard drive.
Yeah. Did you give me where you can order? Can you tell them?
It should be in the private chat here.
It's good. Okay, so but can you tell them how much?
Yes. So this book is. I wish I could put this book. Frankly, I wish this book were free, but due to production costs, shipping costs, all that stuff. This book, you can get it on my website. It is klocko.co. So klocko.co.
Okay.
Slash.
Right here. Yeah. Okay.
Klocko.co / pre-order.
Yeah.
This book is, I had to price it at, after consulting a lot of people,
Hurry up.
at $95.
Okay.
And 10 plus 10 for shipping in the United States. And I do plan to start shipping out international orders, though still working out the details on that. But if you live in the United States, if you order this book, my turnaround time, I'm trying to make it 2 to 3 weeks. I'm trying to also order these books in bulk so we can save a bit on printing costs. But the goal is to get this to everyone by a certain time. And I'm thinking, on Christmas. December 5th is kind of like, if you want your book before Christmas, order by about the first week of December. Though, I'll be obviously still selling these like throughout. It might be a late gift for some people, but that's okay, because I really do appreciate everyone that does want to support this, because this is effectively my first ever real publication. This is something that I put months of times into. I mean, it's easy to joke about whittling down 8,000 shots to 160 pages.
Tell me about when you first narrow down. I'm sure you narrow down certain and then keep narrowing down, right? And do you have someone to work with you? Do you have a third eye to help you to decide?
For the friends that I haven't completely bored with about Andrew yet, because I feel like some people I was just like, hey, here's another shot of Andrew. What do you think about this one? And I tried to keep it like a cycle of people, like, oh, I haven't asked you about Andrew in 3 weeks. I think it's good to ask you again. Because most of my friends, they do like Andrew, but there have been times where it's just like, oh my gosh, Mark, how many times are you going to ask me about this shot? And I'm like, but does it look okay? But is it
Yeah.
But that took a while. I did get a good amount of friends. I'd send them kind of like a screenshot preview of what this page or whatever looks like, and I'm like, and then maybe for this one, I'm gonna be like, hey, can you proofread that for me? Does this does this really summarize things?
Every photograph has some kind of description, like where or
not
when?
Every one. That's why I tried to section it off into categories of chronologically. But once we got to Iowa, I did start have to captioning individual photos, because so many things happened in Iowa. But I tried to keep it. If something feels maybe a little out of place, I would put a caption there. And at the end of every section, so say you get to the end of the 5th debates in Georgia, I will have a few paragraphs talking about where the campaign was, where I was, what people were feeling, and just kind of keep people on the beat of how I was thinking, frankly, and
were you at the 7th debate? He did not make it, and we were outside Juhl University to protest. Were you there?
I was in a different part of Iowa that night. I think I was probably following Andrew around that day, but I was watching, you guys out there. And we even had a similar one in Georgia, because MSNBC was hosting the 5th debates. And the whole thing at that time was hashtag Let Yang Speak. And so I have been to Yang protests before, and I'm glad that you guys did that, How did that go for you?
It was awesome, because he did not make the debate, so we all went to the debate. It was freaking cold, so we were outside chanting, and also Klobuchar, is that her name? Klobuchar, the lady.
Klobuchar.
Klobuchar. She has a large team, a large, and then someone else was, and so this a 3 visible group of people shouting for their own people, but we did well. I think there was 20 to 30 people went, and we shouted, and the people interviewed us. There's a media there, and Yeah, it was. It's in my film. I captured that. It's one of the exciting events in Iowa. So what are the cities you went in Iowa?
Davenport, Ames, Des Moines, Waterloo. I mean, like the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah. Did you go to Iowa City?
Is Iowa City on the western part of the state?
Kind of in the middle, I think.
So if it was, I probably did. If it's, I stayed like in the central area and then like east. Like I stayed on the central and east side of the state because it was just too far to drive at certain points.
Yeah.
But yeah, I pretty much everywhere east of like Des Moines and Ames, that's where I stayed on like that side of the state, which were where a lot of the events were happening anyways.
Yeah.
So I did want to make it out to like Storm Lake and all of that, but it was just such of a drive. It was like nuts. And I was like, if I do this drive, you know, I then miss out on 3, 4, 5 events of Andrews. And I really just wanted to help glue what the crowd size was like, how it was growing and growing. I mean, Ching, I'm pretty sure you were at that one final rally event. I think it was on like February 1st.
No,
2020.
I think I left Iowa on January something. January 18th. It's in my film. Yeah, I remember now. Because I want to go to New Hampshire.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I want to go. So then after I left, because we were supposed there only for 1 week and then became 2 weeks. So the campaign asked us to stay 1 more week. So because I have a lot of obligation at home, I have to take care of. So I came home for 3 or 4 days, and then I drove to New Hampshire on January 24th. Yeah, and then I thought I'm only there for 2 days, right? I go there for like only 2 days. I ended up stay 3 weeks until the end.
Yep. Yeah, oh gosh, that was wild.
It was I mean, yeah. So tell me a little bit about you when you eventually go to New Hampshire. Like, where are you hanging out with? Like, I don't think I met you. I forgot.
I mean, we might have probably been in the same room somewhere in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So my time in New Hampshire before the end of the campaign was New Year's. I was in New Hampshire for New Year's.
I was there.
Yes. Okay. So we were in the same room there. And that was that was a crazy night.
That was so fun. Yeah.
But so my story with the rest of Iowa, I was in Iowa for those first 2 weeks that you're describing in January. Then my friend Anne, who I drove with from Detroit, she couldn't stay. So we drove back right after Andrew's birthday rally. And and then I like maybe stayed at home for a few days, and I was like, okay, screw it, I'm going back out. And drove myself all the way back out to Iowa. You know, we bounced around, we did our thing. And
how many hours? How many hours from Detroit to Iowa?
Depends. Davenport, so that's on the southeastern corner of Iowa, like right after you cross the Mississippi. That was like a 6.5 hour drive. Des Moines was like 8.5 hours. Hey, don't even get me started though on New Hampshire, which was 13 hours. Worst drive of my life.
Oh my god.
I even remember I was like posting about it like after driving back from New Year's in New Hampshire, and I was like posted like our Google Maps like you know, like time and stuff, and like Andrew just immediately was like, oh my god, you guys, like this is crazy, like I'm gonna share this. And
when you say the birthday rally, is that in the university, right?
Yep.
I was there. Nick was there, and a lot of people were there. Yeah.
I actually think
that was so amazing. Heidi did a ass kicking, you know, speech, and lot of speakers, right, before Andrew.
Oh yeah. I actually think Yep, you've got your New York media badge. I think in this one, it's the
Ah, it
top.
was me. Oh
Let's
my
see if
god.
that is you
Yeah.
up there, yeah.
Yeah. Oh
This is
yeah. There's a big
delivering the
birthday
cake to
cake.
Andrew.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was incredible. So
Yeah.
we did that. Then I went back to Detroit for a few days. I was kind of recuperated, and then I was like, okay, get my bigger jacket, get gloves, get everything I need because it's freaking freezing in Iowa.
Yeah. Oh, Nick is here. Nick, hi Nick, how are you? I wanted to acknowledge some people here, okay?
Sure.
So thank you, Nick. University. It's funny. Hi Sue. Hi Sue says, Mark, wow, that's a long drive.
It sure is.
Yeah. Clark is here. Clark, hi, how are you? Confessions of a political junkie. Yeah, so we have and Dennis was here. Dennis, the Trump Foyen. Yeah, thank you, Dennis. He stops by once in a while. Who else
Got a
was
lot of people
here?
here.
Yeah,
Wow.
Cassie Cat 67. What does that mean? You must not be 67. Or you have 67 cats.
Oh wow, Edmund's here. Edmund Clark. Oh my gosh.
Where
yeah,
is
from
Edmund Clark?
right towards the top.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have Randy first, Cairo, and yeah, that's great. Clark was here, so thank you guys for hanging out. Yeah, we need all the support and memory we can, and yeah, so order Mark's book, and
yes,
if you
Fear and Loathing on the 2020 campaign trail.
Yeah.
Aptly named, right? Like because that campaign, it was beyond a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then you said you got out to New Hampshire like in late January. I got back from Iowa right after results night. Like results night, after all that was done.
February 3rd.
Yep, Andrew was getting on the plane and stuff.
Yeah, we went to the airport.
I saw that. I was literally like looking at that footage. I'm like, oh my god, it just keeps going.
We went to the airport and we we were waiting for the result on February 3rd till 2:00 in the morning. We all stay up at the Jack's house, Jack Chen. There's no result, so we went to bed for 1 hour, and then Jack was like, knock on the doors, get up. So we all get up.
Their plane's landing, everybody.
We're hopped in his car, his van, and then we drove, about 30 minutes to the airport. So to look for to greet Andrew Yan. But anyway, he's such a good politician. I think he knows he did not do very well, but he put this really wonderful, look like we're gonna do tremendous. I was like, tremendous my ass,
Yeah, where you could start to the long haulers could start to see through the languaging, right?
No, I didn't think that way then. I just, because I edited my film, I keep watching my footage, and then I see what a great politician he is, because he does not show you. He knows he's losing.
Oh yeah. It's kind of funny when I was reading forward when he was talking about all of that, going into New Hampshire. It's kind of funny because on the day that I flew in from Detroit, it was like the 5th or 6th of February. That was effectively the first conversation that Andrew had with his team. Like, hey, Andrew, dude, we got to talk. If you don't get, like, I think it was like 4th place or above in New Hampshire, you got to really consider pulling the plug. And Andrew, I mean, in the book, he was just like, what? Like, maybe when he arrived, I think he still had that. I think he did believe what he was saying. But then a few days later, the team let him know. And then, of course, fast forward to February 11th. And that was...
Where are you? You were there in that room?
Oh, yeah. That's... I have it in the book.
I was live streaming, right? And the quality is so bad. I couldn't use that streaming.
Oh, yeah. The
like
signal was terrible in that room.
Yeah. So I couldn't use that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean I've got like photos here of like I will show. I don't want to leak too much of the book, but we got Steve right. Okay, let's try to get this properly.
yeah.
We've got Steve on the top there in black and white.
Yeah.
Steve's firing up the crowd.
Martian,
Everything's great.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
He's
this is on the other side of the room.
Too, you know?
Yeah, but then you can see Andrew's, face. It's just like, oh my God, like it's time.
Oh, you capture him waiting to come out, right?
Yep.
Shit.
Yep. But the next page, it's like you can see Andrew brightens up, his face, he lights up like when he sees everyone.
Yeah.
And then that was the first speech I've ever heard in past tense. The trick is if Andrew's speaking in past tense, he's either talking about accomplishments or he's suspending a campaign. Like in New York, Ching, like that when I heard him speak past tense, I was like, uh-oh. Took a sip of my drink and just like ran to the front with my camera.
but in New York, I still didn't get it. I'm just so silly, in New York, I couldn't really tell. He did not say I am suspending my campaign. He did not say that in New York.
Yeah, no. What was
it? Differently. He just said. He didn't even say we're not.
The results aren't going the way we like. The numbers aren't going the way we want, and I do not believe I will be the next mayor of New York City. I think
he did say that. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of saying, hey, maybe he didn't want to say suspend twice.
Yeah. And also sometimes like we, right, as fans, like on myself. Let me speak just to myself. It's like you are in denial, right? I was in denial, It's like that's not happening,
Mm-hmm. Oh, it took me a second on
wasn't listening.
on the first suspension of the 2020 run. Like it took me a second because I was still in, like media mode. I was still in photographer mode. I was going to like the front left of the stage, circling to the center stage, to the right end of the stage. And by this point, Andrew had said, I've seen the numbers and, we're not going to win. And it's not good to continue the campaign. And it didn't process for like 10 minutes. I took some wide shots of the room.
Yeah.
And I went out to that little bar area.
Like you just keep shooting, lobby. Right? You just keep shooting.
And once I grabbed a drink, I like automatically just grabbed a drink, like nothing. Because I took my photos. Okay, time for a drink. But then I was like, wait. What did he just say? And boom, then the emotions hit, you know?
Yeah.
But, all in all, this story, it's not one of like defeat. This whole thing is, I even said at the end of the book here in my afterword, which it's a pretty decently long afterword you can see there.
Wow.
I was like, okay, how do I sum this up? Yeah. But it's effectively like, look, Andrew is not some deity. Andrew is not some god emperor of politics where everything he says is perfectly correct and right or worded this and that. He's a normal human being. And his team, and I'll get to that in a second, Dennis.
Yeah.
I would say the whole thing is he's not a deity. He's a normal human being. Like that's what Andrew is.
What's deity?
And deity, like God, like something. Because some people, frankly, if you ask me, they worship. And this, frankly, does happen in every campaign. They are unable to criticize their favorite candidate, and I do think that is unhealthy. But what I summarized and wrap that up to in this the end of this book is Andrew's a normal human being. He had a very small campaign, and I was a very small photographer. And they never, ever shooed me away. They actually brought me in and closer and closer. I remember accidentally walking into like the staff strategy room, accidentally at the Iowa results night. And it's like all the senior team crunching the numbers. And it wasn't like, you're not supposed to be in here, get out. It was like, oh, hey, what's up, Mark? I think like Bill Hodder just said, hey, what's up, Mark? And it's just like the team, they just progressively were like more trusting more warmer. And that is what really matters, is that the people like you, Ching, like me, like everyone that was involved, we did this because we believed in something. And Andrew believed in that same thing. And we all just united and grew as people on this. And the last part of my book is, have you ever heard of an outsider politician uniting like independents to freaking conservatives to socialists all in one camp? Like, how do you, like, seriously, Republican, Democrat, like leftist, rightist? And this will segue into Dennis's question here. Okay, where's my stance on forward party, and then Andrew taking on a new centrist stance, focusing on outreach to reasonable middle, 70% distancing from far left. Yeah. So to the far left question, that's the hilarious part about this is, Dennis, I think there are two parts of the far left. There is the overly online far left, where they're not the type to actually help their community. They're not the type to do mutual aid, and they're there just to call everyone the worst names in the books. I can understand distancing yourself from that, because I was out there in New York, and some of the, what was the phrase? Champagne socialists, pretty much trust fund kids that live in a really nice area in Brooklyn. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Ching. Like the activists, but all their activism is Twitter, you know? And I do think getting away from that side of the deeper left, yeah, it's kind of an obvious move. Do I think Andrew's thing is centrist? I don't think centrist is the right wording, personally, for me. You could peg it as centrist, and that is actually how some of those online far left people are. But for me, I do consider myself pretty deeply on the left, especially after all the learning and experience that's happened from the BLM protests in Detroit, and learning from a bunch of elders about, you know, the system and systemic violence and how this country was, you know, really built. It's just, my thing now is Andrew is values wise, he is humans over profit, humans over capital, the human condition. And I think this is straightforward from the 2021 all the way through to now. Put humans first. Again, we're riding GDP off a cliff. So let's actually take care of the basic needs of humans first. You can argue that that's a pretty lefty position. Even Andrew jokes about it in his book. Like, hey, I'm to the left of Bernie. I was trying to give people money. But really now, I've always seen Andrew as a neutral messenger. And I think that's a part of the magic of how I've had people that are very far left in Detroit talk to me about Andrew, and they've said, dude, no, hell yeah, I love Andrew for the aspect that he normalized and streamlined giving people money for no reason at all, but giving people money, that is just bettering the human condition, and normalizing that is a good thing. So I think Andrew uses a lot of neutral language. You could call it centrist language. I prefer neutral. And I really think that that is his thing. His gut instinct is to do better for humanity. I don't necessarily think Andrew's, you know, on some massive evil grift operation. Strength, like, mainly based on how Andrew has treated me. I mean, once I got out there in New York, it was awesome. I connected with the digital team, and they treated me with like just open arms. I was helping out with like press releases and stuff, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like these people that Andrew surrounded himself with, they actually care. They're normal human beings with empathy, with understanding.
That's great. You have good experience with Andrew's team. Now, what is how do you feel? I don't remember if you answered everything what Dennis was saying. So my question is, how do you feel about Andrew Yang is left you know, the Democratic Party and started his own forward? How do you feel that way? Do you think we Yangon have a potential of follow him to sort of follow him and support his party? What do you know?
So on Forward Party, when I first saw that leaked Politico headline, that was like, oh my gosh, Andrew's starting a third party. And Politico, of course, made it clickbaity, like Andrew's running for president. That's not the case. Andrew is effectively starting the third party as a way to hit the machinery, hit the system that we have it now, hit it at its weakest point. Open primaries, ranked choice voting. Those two things, I think, as Andrew in his speech is, because I went out to Chicago to say hi to him and the team. He calls it the skeleton key, effectively, for getting people the accessibility where all we need are a certain amount of signatures to be able to get open primaries, to get ranked choice voting going. And I love that, actually. I'm just kind of like, Andrew's like, you know what? The system kind of screwed me. Now it's time for us to hit back against the system. And we're going to hit it back in a way that enables more people the access to vote, more people to actually rank their vote. And I love that. And in regards to the Democratic Party, I don't have any baggage with the Democrats, and I'm not here to argue Democrats versus Republicans. I mean, the phrase "not left, not right, forward." Honestly, I see it more as not Democrat, not Republican forward, because frankly speaking, calling Democrats, oh, they're all like on the left. It's like, no. Look at all the things that Democrats could do that would be, from a leftist perspective, a good thing, and they just don't. Because of course we know why. There's the donor class, there's the actual owners of the party. And I'm actually kind of happy and refreshed to see Andrew leave Democrats.
Yeah, that's great. So I just wanted to mention one more information. Andrew Yan announced he's going to start with the Forward Party on officially October 5th. That's also the day his book is published called Forward. So if you're inclined to find out more information about that, you can, order the book Forward on Amazon. And we have to finish soon because I have a actually teaching job in 10 minutes. So yeah, and thank you so much. Forward, yeah. Thank you so much for being with us, audience. And please, if you have not subscribed my YouTube channel, and please do so, and please like our video, and please consider please order spend some money on Marc and support his artistic endeavor and also his work. And also you can see the whole movement through a photographer, through a grassroots point of view. And also it's beautiful. And the side way is you can check my trailer that I made a film called My Yangon Diary. So it's being actually possibly distributed by distribution companies, and hopefully will show to the world very soon. And it's kind of parallel. I should interview you in my film. You're so much fun. So yeah, Marc, because I didn't really know you that well, in during the campaign, right? We didn't really hang out that much in terms of canvassing the same city. So thank you so much, Marc. And do you have one last thing you want to like a shout out before we end?
I mean, shout out. Ching, you. Are you kidding me? Like, first of all, you had the wonderful recommendation of that one, that coffee kind of like lounge place. I forgot the name of it, but it's where we met up when I was in New York. I was with Matt and all of them.
Max Cafe.
Yes, I love that spot. It is so good. Shout out. That place is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, thank you for giving the opportunity just to talk about this. This has been a labor of love. I hope you all can enjoy this. Maybe grab it before the holiday season. But yeah, whittling down all those shots to something like this, it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of memories, a lot of emotions. But
you should consider run for office. You're
uh,
so organized. You're so vocal, and you have the personality of go very, I guess you're very expressive, and yeah. So I'm just
I
wishing
appreciate that. Well, right now, support my expression
Yes,
with fear and
yeah. So anyway, thank you so much, Mark, for being with us, and thank you. And I think Dennis said something very long. Thank you, Sue. Oh, Dennis, thank you, Sue. Yeah. It's. Did you see it, Mark? Jeremy.
yeah. No,
Okay.
I think I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's just a freaking podcast. Like,
Oh.
some people do have their opinions and stuff online, and
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
Great. Thank
less
you so much.
division, more unity, right?
Yeah. Well,
grace and tolerance.
Yeah, thank you so much, and everybody, and being with us. So have a good night. Yeah, and until next time, I do this show every week, sometimes Wednesday. Today is exceptional. It's a Monday because Wednesday I'm not available. So sometimes I do on weekends. So please watch my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Mark, and I may seriously consider interview you. Yeah, just to
Dude. We'll work with it. I want to come back. We'll do it again.
We'll
do a little dance on the way out.
I would love to including some things, into my film. Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah. Spend some money.
Happy holidays.
Bye. Happy holidays. Bye. Be good.
See you guys.
Yeah.